This order would ring out as English soldiers immediately raised their shields up in the air to shield themselves from the incoming downpour of arrows. Waves of arrows would pummel the English soldiers' positions, deleting scores of men. However, despite the relentless torrent of arrows, the English soldiers under the command of your main man King Harold II would manage to hold their positions on the hill, their shield wall proving to be effective against projectile-type weapons. And whenever a soldier was struck with an arrow, he would immediately be pushed aside, and another soldier would quickly replace his position in the shield wall. However, the torrent of arrows was the last thing these English men had to worry about, because right after the main volley of arrows let up, the real fighting would begin. Thousands of Norman soldiers being led by your main man, William the Duke of Normandy, would charge up the hill and attack the English forces. Both sides would brutally attempt to put a curb stomping on each other. The Battle of Hastings had just begun. Now, the Battle of Hastings took place on October 14th, 1066, near the town of Hastings, which is present-day East Sussex, England. The battle was fought between the forces of your main man William the Duke of Normandy, also known as William the Conqueror, and King Harold, King of England. The conflict would arise from a disputed claim to the English throne after the death of King Edward the Confessor. Harold and William both felt that the throne of England rightfully belonged to them. However, on the 6th of January, your boy Harold II would have himself crowned king. This action would cause your main man William the Duke of Normandy to feel some type of way, prompting him to make plans for war, an attempt to snatch the throne away by force. Harold, however, would pretty much be like, over my dead body, and mobilize his forces. However, William the Duke of Normandy wasn't your basic dude. He would plan his next actions carefully, taking around 7 months to prepare his invasion force. He would gather up around 600 transport ships to carry his army of around 7,000 men, which included around 2,500 cavalry units, across the channel. On the 28th of September 1066, with a favorable wind and calm waters, your boy William the Duke of Normandy and his invasion force would cross the channel and land at Pevensey with very little resistance. He would then proceed to set up his headquarters there and allow his armies to become unhinged and plunder the countryside. However, your boy Harold and his army of around 7,000 men were already en route, force marching south from London. Now, Harold's army included a mixture of infantrymen, housecarls, which are elite soldiers, and peasants. Many of the peasants were your local untrained farmers who were only armed with basic weapons like axes, farm tools, and homemade shields. These dudes were most likely gathered up and quickly formed into militia units. Now, your boys, the housecarls, on the other hand, were some effective, well-trained dudes, being armed and better equipped, along with being trained in military tactics, which include formations like the shield wall. On October the 14th, your boy William would learn of Harold's rapid approach and immediately prepare for battle. William's army of around 7,000 would roll up on Harold's army in full force, catching him off guard. Harold and his men, feeling compromised, would have no choice but to hold their ground on the hill and fight. William would set his army in battle formations, sending his archers and crossbowmen out in the front to fire volleys of arrows into Harold's men, hoping to thin his army out. Now, Harold, knowing that he had very few archers of his own, would order his men to form a shield wall and brace for the initial volley. The archers and crossbowmen would fire a volley of arrows uphill, raining down the English, bouncing off their shields. However, arrows that were able to get through the shield wall would hit any unprotected men, dropping them like ragdolls. However, the shield wall would hold. Your boy William, seeing this, would send in his spearmen to try to put a clapping on the English forces. However, as they advanced up the hill towards Harold's position, they would be met by a devastating volley of spears, axes, and rocks, brutally evicting the lives of many of the attackers. However, after finally reaching the English and engaging them in a brief battle, the spearmen would fail to break the shield wall and fall back. Your boy William, seeing this, would give his knights a crack at it. They would charge the English and attack them, looking for weak points in their ranks to exploit. However, they too would be unable to penetrate the shield wall, ultimately being forced to fall back. William's men, feeling some type of way and seeing how many of their comrades were already knocked off, began to withdraw from the battlefield. Panic began to set in, and to make matters worse, a rumor had been started that William had been deleted in the battle, which caused more panic amongst the men. Now, Harold's men, seeing William's Norman army falling back in confusion, would catch some good vibes and lower their shields. They would immediately begin to chase after the Normans. It is not known if Harold had ordered his men to chase after them. It is speculated that Harold in fact ordered his men to hold their ground. Now, as the rumors of William's deletion spread through the ranks, your boy William, who was very much alive, would ride his horse through the confused forces, taking off his helmet and showing his face and yelling at the top of his lungs that he was still alive. The Duke would then turn and rally his forces and lead a counterattack against the pursuing English forces. This sudden change of momentum would catch the pursuing English forces off guard. They had advanced too far away from the rest of their forces, exposing themselves. William's knights would roll up on them, and before they could even regroup, they would be pounced on and slaughtered. Those that remained with Harold immediately tried to reform the shield wall, but the damage had been done. William and his army would once again attack Harold. With the English army now being made up of mostly peasants and injured men, the shield wall would break. Harold, desperately trying to rally his men, catches a stray arrow to his eye. This injury would lead to his life being evicted from him. His personal bodyguards, along with the few housecarls that remained, would fight fiercely to defend his body, but they would ultimately be overwhelmed. With the remaining British forces being left leaderless, they would retreat. The Battle of Hastings, for the most part, was over, claiming the lives of around 6,000 men, including the lives of both Harold's brothers. The battle had lasted throughout most of the day, resulting in an overwhelming victory for William and his men, marking a significant turning point in English history. This event ultimately resulted in William's ascension as king, bringing about profound changes through Norman influence on language, culture, law, and governance within England. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment. Feedback is much appreciated. You guys have a wonderful day. Much love. Peace.